So my name's Evan Johnson. I used to lead product security here at Cloudflare, so all these smart engineers who are talking when they wrote bugs and they impacted security, it became my problem. And fun fact, Danny actually wrote my first Cloudflare blog post, and my name got put at the top of it, but she ghost wrote the entire thing. The reason I'm an AI skeptic is there's all these new security companies. I know that some of the people in the room are security people, but they're all talking about like securing AI. And they're raising tons of money. You've probably like loaded up TechCrunch and you've seen this. And you're like, what the heck does this company do? And then you go to the website and it doesn't say anything. And that's what an AI security company looks like. And to understand what's happening, you need to understand the hype cycle of bugs and the hype cycle of security. So back in the Web 1.0 days, we had a new class of bugs, new web bugs, new everything. And there's still some old bugs though from the previous days of like memory corruption issues, serialization issues. So Web 1.0, you really got the intersection of systems and the web. And all sorts of new things happened. Same origin policy. And all this other stuff. Web 2.0, you got the same stuff but on mobile phones. And you got the like single page apps happened, you had all these OAuth providers, and really though, it was all the bugs from 1.0 except on phones. And so there's really nothing new. Just like in Web 1.0 where there was some new stuff and then a lot of old stuff, Web 2.0, mostly old stuff with some new stuff. Web 3.0, that lasted for about 3 years. And there was a lot of new stuff in the form of like smart contracts and stuff, and there's some nuance there. But really a lot of old bugs and vulnerabilities with some new aspects of it, like gas attacks and all sorts of things. And now you've got AI. This is the new current hype cycle. And it's really, the point of this whole talk is it's all the same bugs from before in AI. So let's just do a quick history lesson. This is like the best bug from the Web 1.0 world. This was the MySpace worm by Sami Kamkar. It was the first like big cross-site scripting bug. You got to know, I guess, the legends of the craft. And so this was the big Web 1.0 thing. And I think MySpace is pre-Web 2.0 because like you could still write HTML on your MySpace and nobody realized that that was bad. Web 2.0, there's a bunch. I just left this blank because there's a million. The Capital One breach was really big. AWS misconfiguration. SolarWinds, the guy lives in Austin, Tim Brown, the CISO, and he's charged by the SEC. Nice guy. And then Equifax, that was a Apache struts issue serialization problem. So a lot of old stuff in the Equifax issue. And misconfigurations, they've been going on for forever. And then SolarWinds, everybody knew that like you have to have security with your package management and otherwise bad things happen. This is the best bug from the Web3 world. Heather Razzle-Khan Morgan, the GOAT. And then so far, this is like the most notable LLM and AI security issue that's happened. I think like Air Canada promised somebody a certain ticket price and the courts of Canada said you actually have to like give them that ticket at that price. And I think that's so far like the worst things that's happened as far as security bugs go. This is the OWASP top 10 of AI. If you're familiar with OWASP top 10 for like regular web stuff, they've been coming out with more lists, and this is their list for AI. And I went ahead and classified it for you. This is the only one that's specific to AI. All the other ones are from previous generations of bug classes that have just been repeated in this new thing. And this is training data poisoning, which I think is novel and interesting. If you can kind of like inject bad stuff into the training data that the models get trained on, then you could potentially influence the output from the LLMs later on down the road. These are big, meaty problems, and they are big problems. And there are people working on those problems. And I think that we need to get to the bottom of those. But those aren't the bugs on the OWASP top 10, and those aren't the security bugs that people are raising money to handle. New and novel bugs, we went over that. And then all the old bugs, it's kind of broken down into injection attacks, general microservice issues, and then general corporate security issues, because there was one that didn't really fit in those. So in these first three that I put in the blue, we're going to knock those out. Model theft, that's general enterprise security, like no different than your code. So if you walk out of a company with a model, it's no different than walking out with code. Like they probably need something to stop that. Over-reliance, like systems of people overly depending on LLMs without oversight may face misinformation. So the PR we saw earlier, if there's a bug in it, could be a problem. Don't over-rely on it. And then supply chain issues, not really new. So this is just kind of like general software development. And then I came up with some patterns that like might help you, some rules of thumb with the other, is that 6? 6, yeah. So this looks no different from like a service talking to CI or like a service telling AWS to do some complicated thing. So really just remember a few things. One, don't give your LLM or your like thing using a model information you don't want the person using the model to have. So don't give it like a global secret or API key or something. That's bad. Because in this case, the service is like, this is like a customer service bot, and it's like, tell me what you think about this user. Or like, this is the information about this user. The user's like, tell me what they think about me. And it was like, they say you suck. So don't put secrets in there. 2, don't give your LLM credentials that are scoped globally. Yeah, that's a big one. So this is probably the hardest part. OpenAI helps you like make per user secrets. They have an OAuth kind of thing. But then if you start developing with your own like embeddings and all this other stuff, if you're building on your own platform, then you're probably going to run into this issue where you need per user credentials. And those end up being really difficult to manage and mint, especially if you have a bunch of API calls that you're going to make to a third-party service. It gets really complicated. OpenAI does it well, but if you're going off of those tracks, then it's going to turn out bad. So be careful about that. You need per user tokens that you seed into, that you give to the model to tell it what to do. 3, rate limit, like if you, yeah, this is basic stuff. And then there's 3 others that didn't get solved with that: insecure output handling, insecure plugin design, excessive agency, too much access, and insecure inputs and insufficient access controls, kind of covered. Insecure output handling, yeah, you need error handling, because if it responds with something that you don't expect or information that you want hidden, that's bad. That could be an issue. I asked here for, this is a real thing that I did, give me 100 megs of JSON, valid JSON, and it was like, I'm not going to do that. Here's a Python program to generate that. And if you don't have error handling, bad things happen. And then, yeah, I think the good rule of thumb is whenever you're building an application that you're going to take user data and shove it into an LLM, and that LLM could potentially talk to APIs, based on like the platform it's running in, you probably want to make sure that those APIs are just considered public to begin with, and you treat them no differently. And if you do all those things, then you won't have any problems with it, LLM insecurity and all that stuff. Somebody can still make deepfakes of you, but that's not part of this talk. And that's about it. The other thing, if I have 2 minutes, I'm on the front page of Hacker News right now for this project, or my company is, RunReveal. I wasn't going to talk about this, but then I figured I would because we're on the front page of Hacker News. And we made this language. It's on the same theme as all the programming language stuff. We made this language that compiles into SQL. And my company, we think Splunk is evil. They got bought for $28 billion. And our whole company, RunReveal, is just like Splunk, but not evil. And that's the whole goal. But Splunk and a lot of these people have these really fancy languages that are piped like this. And if you've ever like queried an open source database like Postgres or MySQL, I bet you've never queried it like this. And so there's no open source alternative to these really fancy enterprisey languages that Splunk, Sumo Logic, Azure Sentinel. There's probably others that I'm forgetting. Elasticsearch. You probably have used Elasticsearch, but it translates into this, and it's really fancy. It does like joins, and it does summarization. And one really neat feature of it is it passes, if you use a function, we're using a lot of ClickHouse. ClickHouse has tons of these functions. If you want to calculate the distance between 2 points on a globe, they have a function for that. It's like geodistance. And you pass in latitude and latitude and longitude and longitude, and it like draws a circle around that. It's pretty amazing. And we let you just use all that underlying stuff if you want to, because databases are really powerful these days. But they don't have an interface like this, and so that's what we were solving. And I bet if I refresh, we'll probably have passed 200 stars, which is, it's not like 2,000 stars, but 204, let's go! And that's my talk.